Good morning and welcome to this edition of Richard's Rant. As you know, the morning is the best time of the day before as anything bad has gone wrong. If something bad goes wrong, does that mean it's right? Because it's supposed to be bad, so it went wrong. But oh, if only we should be so lucky. But first thing in the morning, nothing bad has happened as yet, and that is the sentiment that I always wish to you, regardless of the time of the day that you are listening. Thank you for joining, and welcome to Richard's Rant. So, I'm seeing that the vaccines, or the zombie makers as I had called them, have arrived, and we are happy. And they have an expiration date that I didn't know about, so they couldn't be doing 1,000 zombies a day. Now, this is my ridiculous, personal, standing by my ignorance opinion. Now, recently there was a movement in the US that vaccines were bad and it had these side effects and it could cause you to lose some of your mental faculties, among other things. And there was actually some merit to it that we didn't know that one in how much it could actually negatively affect. And I get that. And I think that they should have actually said so. But if they said so, would we have taken it? And if we didn't take it, would we even be here to argue about whether or not we should have taken it? There are a lot of communicable diseases because, as I, again, in my own personal belief, which is ridiculous, unfounded, and potentially ignorant, we are the aliens on the planet. When the thing happened with the comet and the dinosaurs, I think that that's when whatever it is shoot us here or something, because nothing else on this planet can die from just existing on the planet. Everything else is just walk about outside, sit down outside, sleep wherever you're tired, lie down in the dirt. Even animals that can't deal with the seasons, the birds have a natural way to navigate themselves all the way from North to South America across the ocean just because it's getting cold. The birds could even tell the weather in the Caribbean. There is a type of bird that migrates at slightly different times each year, and the earlier it migrates is the more intense the hurricane season in the Caribbean would be. But we need to send a whole satellite up to look down to monitor to talk to it, and we just still get it wrong. And the man that tried to fix the weather is actually a fascinating story. Surprised that I remember. But they had this boat crash where everybody died, and it was because of the weather, and they had no idea that that situation was going to befall them. So, this guy with a giant heart decided that if he could figure out the weather, he could prevent such a tragedy. And he was a very wonderful and sensitive man that ended up killing himself because humans are shit. He could not perfect it, so he was more wrong than right, and instead of assisting him, he was ridiculed into suicide. He had a family and all of that too, huh? But he was ridiculed into suicide. But his work was immortal, and the entire way that we observe the weather is built on that. After his death, it was realized that the weather does not occur in a bubble. So you can't know the weather where you are without knowing the weather next to where you are, without knowing the weather next to where that is, and next to where that is. And I stand to be corrected on this chunky piece, but I think that that is where latitude and longitude came from, and it divided the world into the squares, and it actually had a bunch of people, women, sitting down, monitoring the weather in their square, and telling the next square what was going on in their square that might affect them, and that's how they were doing the weather forecast. Now, the second part, yes, I know that for a fact. But if that is what made latitude and longitude, I'm not 100% sure because latitude and longitude more has to do with geography. So I'm not sure if it was adopted or if it was created for weather and then adopted to geography. But either way, yeah. hmm How we reach on weather? You know, I really lost myself. How did we reach on weather? I know I started talking about the vaccines. But what trouble is this? Alright. I refuse to stop recording and find myself to sound like if it is I'll reconnect the dots, but I legit lose myself this time. What is this? We talk about the vaccines. The vaccines arrive, it will turn you into zombies. The people, polio, the weather. Alright, I really don't know how it is I reached to the weather. I'm assuming, guessing, and I'm humble enough to admit as such. So I am merely assuming that I was talking about how ignorant we are at times. So before science and all of that. So the reality is that if it didn't have vaccines to, oh, that we are aliens. Oh, there we go. I remember what I forgot. Yeah. So we are the aliens. I hope that you're as amused as I am. Admittedly, it has been a long day. It has been a long, long day today. And I am 100% determined not to talk about my actual job in these rants, but yeah, it has been a long day. At the time of this recording, it was a long day. One of those days where you... Anyway, so everything else is naturally in tune with the planet and can just live on the planet. But we need to make all of these modifications to exist here without no longer existing here. It's been a long day, people. I'll consider if it is this one would be published. So fine, I'd give it up on it. I'll continue. But yes. Unlike the birds and stuff, I remember where I came from now. So, the vaccines is just one of those ways. Now, one can argue that all the animals have their own way of coping, and our way of coping on the planet is our brain. I think that's folly because all animals have a brain, all animals communicate. Coming back to birds again, when we see birds moving in a swarm, or a flock is the correct word, but I wanted that image of a swarm. When you see like a bunch of birds, again, people, if you all, like English and stuff, do not write a bunch of birds. It's a flock. But I want to get that imagery. So when you see a bunch of birds and they switch directions and they turn so and they turn so, when it is we take photography of these animals, they actually flick and vote. You would see each animal do something a little bit off with their wings, and it's vote that they vote in. One animal, they say, one bird, they say, hey, let me go so, what do you think? And they just vote. The same thing that's happened with fish. When you see a school of fishes, and they turn and they bob and they weave and they vote. This has been proven with only photography and still cameras and really slowing it down, and that's how quickly they do it. Now, when I am high, one of the things that intrigues me is listening to humans speak, not necessarily having a conversation at all, or even watching a movie. But if it is in a social setting, I would sit quietly and listen to people speak. And when you listen to us speak, we sound like animals. You don't actually make out words. We are trained to make out words, but we sound like animals. You just hear sounds, different sounds, and just like a dog barking or a bird chirping. So how we know they're not actually talking to each other and we just can't understand their language? Or even better, what if they're actually more advanced than we are and they don't actually talk and those are songs and they do things like telepathy? I mean, ants handle themselves with pheromones. It might just be we on shit. We might be as advanced as we are. It might be like that video that was online with a man and a woman was a bicycle race was happening. Uh, both genders. It wasn't like a male or a female, and it was a bicycle race, and there was an obstacle in the road, and they showed you that the woman saw the obstacle and she jumped off the bike and tried to lift the bike over it, and couldn't do it and fall down with the bike, and all kind of drama. And the guy is because two guys passed and they just slide themselves on the bike under it, and the third guy assisted her. So we could be like the woman, we could be, having to do all this Nancy story because we're retarded. And it's not just big, beautiful brain that we have, when it is all the other animals simply in tune. Or we could be aliens and we don't belong here. Or maybe something made us, maybe God made us, and so on and so forth. But the point is, we need help to survive. And that's where these vaccines came from. But even the vaccines that we know and love and are accustomed to actually do have hidden side effects. So, based on that, I am skeptical of the new vaccines, and I, for one, will not be taking it anytime soon. I have no morbidity, and I am not in the age bracket, and I didn't get it, so I will be staying away from it. You all could take it. However, if you all do turn into zombies, you all could eat me. I'm not fighting up unless it have a safe place already established, and I could look it up online and see the reviews and make sure it's somewhere I actually want to live, and it have all the amenities. Like I would, if it is like a craving for some pepper prune, I'll be able to get a pepper prune. If it is I want little doubles, or if it is I want to try to make a doubles, I could handle my life. But if it's something like in the Matrix, where I living in the real world that looking like crap and I eating whatever the ass that was that looked like coleslaw or porridge. No, 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 no. I will flavor my brain fully and all you could just come in. I'll send out an invite and all you handle all you see. But I don't want to be a zombie either. So, coming all the way back now, thanks to that 13-minute detour, because all I did have on the papers today was that the vaccines have arrived. And I was reading, I am so freaking ridiculous. And I was reading that, how different countries get the vaccines, and that there is basically like a charitable program to make sure all the countries get, and that's how Guyana got their vaccines. And that the vaccines that we got in Trinidad, which is the AstraZeneca or Zetica, the AZ one, in Europe, they're having concerns because it causing blood clots, but we have it here. So again, all you go ahead and jump up in all your vaccine. I have no issue with it. It is something good, but I don't want it. Right? I don't want it. I real good. Let me wait 5 years or 10 years, or you know what? Let me get into the demographic, and then I will go like a tetanus shot, then I will go and get it. But I know, and I don't even sanitize my hand because it had reached a point where I was looking like a snake changing skin, and my hands get hypersensitive because obviously it have no damn skin. So just like an orgasm, I learned to fake it. I have mastered the art of faking that sanitization when I go into a place. I actually proud of it. It's a work of art. Sometimes my hand does even look wet and I just be flicking it and all kind of thing like if it have something on it. If you just see antics. So I ain't taking the vaccine. At least no time soon. And then I read, Paul Richards. I'm proud of him. He's there in the Senate doing his thing. And It had a weird little article. I'll admit I didn't quite understand it. Apparently, you join gangs in prison, which we know, for protection, basic human instinct, whatever have you, not to get raped. And that's one of the reasons why I just tried not to break the law. I will had to I will have to be a bad bitch in prison. Like, I will have to be a real jackass and kill people and things. Cause I ain't going through that rape. I ain't going through that now, boy. And you don't see how I small and this curly here and think, Jesus, I'm not going through that. I ain't going through that one now. But I digress. It's the main reason why it is I just behave myself as best as possible. Otherwise, I would have been such a criminal because it's so hard to be good. It's real hard to be good. And I just see all the crime and all the activity, and it's just like I could do this. But afraid, boy, afraid. But anyway, coming back to the reality of the newspaper. This dude made us aware that to join a gang in prison, you just need a pack of bourbon or some corn chips, or basically you need snacks, some corn curls, and some cheese balls. And I can wrap my brain around it. Obviously, these things might be a little bit rare in prison, obviously, right? But to join a gang means that you have to pay the gang, you have to pay dues, you have membership fees in the form of favors. The favors are usually very violent. So you telling me that a man could get killed from another man for a pack of corn curls, and that kind of blows my mind in so many ways. One, that your life so valueless in prison that it reduced to a snack is a snack, not even the good kind. And what will that do to your mental and your psyche? How could that possibly, under any circumstance, be rehabilitative and get you back into society to function? And two, the minimum wage here that we're in worker that making that conkers. When they making it, they thinking that they making debt in a 50 cents pack. Yes, it's dramatic, but that's what they're doing. Each pack of that bourbon is a man life. Custard cream could mean too. What is this? What is this? And after that, I moved on. In another rant, there was this young lady that got fired because the priest, according to her, became wary of her knowing his secrets with his sexcapades in the church. And she went to social media and she said she never even got a warning letter, etc., etc. Now, the company that she was working for made a statement, and the Archbishop of Port of Spain made a statement. The Archbishop of Port of Spain claimed that there was no evidence to support her claims, and they would pray for her. I find the pray for her song real condescending. It was written, so of course that's my interpretation. Nobody said in a condescending tone except my psyche. And the company she was working for claimed that she had all of these transgressions and stuff before. And it was the second time that they asked for her to be removed from that post. Now, my instinct is telling me that the same way that there was no evidence that the priest was not being celibate in the second worst way, because apparently it was females, it wasn't underage boys, as is the status quo. And all it had was her word, and that was unsubstantiated proof. Then why is it that this woman was discredited only by the word of the priest stating that he would like her to be removed, which is alleged? So her word as a security guard is worth less than the priest, is what she's saying. And her company didn't even defend her because her word is not putting money in their pocket. So she just got a shitty end of the stick. The person that has the most to lose in this situation is her. So I am not seeing any motive for her to jump out herself and accuse the priest. Unless it is you kidnap the priest or something. Remember, I told you I could do this crime thing. Unless it is you kidnap or blackmail the priest and you was going to get some kind of financial kickback from the archdiocese or the priest or the congregation or something like that. In these times of COVID, why in heaven's name would this woman, a security guard, who traditionally are not the most employable individuals in our society, jump out of herself and accuse the priest? But the priests have a motive to lie. The archbishop has a motive to lie, and the security company has a motive to lie, and all of this in the blasted papers, and people actually going to believe the other stakeholders over this poor woman. Life not fair. Life not fair. And if it is she hire a gunman now, which she could just do on WhatsApp at this point, people wouldn't understand why. You would see a big headline. But my only issue though is that she went and put up herself and she should not have. And I hope this doesn't affect her in the future and make her even less employable. Especially in these corona times. Sometimes you have to be smart with what you're doing and you have to think of the bigger picture. You have to think about where you want to go or the outcome that you want before you take action. Because the reality is that yes, everybody should do the right thing, but that doesn't happen. Everybody does the right thing that is most beneficial for themselves. And if your right thing is to change the world, you have to do it in a strategic way that you would be successful. Always remember that they crucified Christ, and this dude could have turned water into flicking wine. You can't even make a mug of juice properly. Settle yourself and pat down. Stay in your lane. Find a way to do what you need to do, but look at the bigger picture. I'm really sorry for her. I'm sorry for her. And I would pray for her. Because I know what prayers the Archbishop might say, no? With his dotishness. That was the most condescending statement I read in a while. And I see the news like it changed up a little bit. I was surprised. I see a big headline. Father of 2 shot dead. You all may not understand why I read it like that off the bat, because normally it just say a man get killed. Sorry, is father of 2 or father of 1? He had children. Breed somebody. I think it's father of 1. Why does that get father of 2? Our father was shot dead, and I was proud that he was given that respect. He was 26, he was living in Laventille. His mother said that he was accused of killing somebody, but he wasn't no bad boy. If he was a bad boy, you need to just always say that, but this one have a twist. Say that if it is he was a bad boy, I would have said thank God he did, but he wasn't. So I think, guessing, that what may have happened is, growing up in that area, he probably was involved in the gang at some point in his life. And of course, you could never exactly 100% leave that behind. So I think the chickens may have come home to roost, although he was trying to do the good. Or maybe he may not have even been an active member of the gang, or he could have been like the water boy on the team, the one that does do the laundry, the one that does go and get a little KFC for them, and then he come out of that. But once you're in it, that's what I'm guessing. His mother said he lived for his son, so I'm going to think that it was father of 1, but I'm looking in my notes and I'm clearly seeing a 2, so oh shit, there's a 1. Lord have mercy, it's been a long day. Is 1, father of 1. So, and his mother said he was living and working for his son. So may he rest in peace. Do not join a gang. Not because you might get raped, but because You know, it does have consequences for these things. And again, think about where you want to go. Think about where you want to go and work backwards, taking the steps to get there. And the last thing that jumped out at me, and this is a real turn on. This is serious. It's sexy too bad. I am enjoying reading about all of the people that making money hand over fist in Corona. National flour mills profits increased by 282%. Your profits increased by 282? Your profits increased by 2 cents? Mine didn't. Theirs did. They say some shit about how it is they streamline and yada pa yada pa yada. They must fire some people and whatnot. But at the end of the day, flour is essential. So what it's telling me is that regardless of what going on, if it is I am essential to somebody or somebody's or something, or I provide something that people cannot do without, then I will never be without. And that is a lesson within itself. Not just for financial gain, but maybe you should try to be essential to the people that are essential to you, to your job, to your community, to your family, you know, without cutting off your nose and spoiling your face, because we all have talents that we are good at, and that is what we kind of bring to the party. That's what we bring to the whole, you know. So look into yourself and see what you can do that is really, really good, and do that for those that really, really need it, and you will be actually being the best version of you that you could be. Isn't that amazing? And then maybe your profits would raise by 282%. Or who knows? But I think it's worth a try. So that is what jumped out to me today in the newspaper. Thank you so much for listening for this edition of Richard's Rant. And I hope that you were entertained and that you don't mind where I lost myself completely a few times, and that you tune in next time. So, do the best that you can do, and look at yourself as the individual, but as also part of the whole. Thank you for tuning in. Subscribe to the vibe, comment to our betterment. Vibes.